All right, this is chapter of development of organism and continuity of life. We were looking into reproduction in humans, and in today's lesson we have to read about birth control or contraception. First of all, we will see the definition for it, and then we will move towards different methods, which includes natural or rhythmic method, chemical method, mechanical or barrier method, and then we have hormonal or and surgical methods. Let's see what contraception is. It's actually a procedure which prevents fertilization. We know about fertilization, it's the fusion of male and female gametes. So, contraception is actually the prevention of it, and these methods or these ways can be grouped into three categories. First is that we have to stop the sperms reaching the egg, and then we have ways which stop the eggs being produced, and there is a third method where we stop the fertilized egg from developing in the uterus. In the third method, we actually stop or prevent the attachment or implantation of the zygote with the uterus wall. So first method that we have to read is natural method. It is a method where we keep in mind the menstrual pattern in a female and limiting the sexual intercourse to times when fertilization is less likely. We do the record of body temperature because body temperature of a female is usually higher at the time of ovulation. Ovulation is actually the release of the egg. So what we do is that we keep a record of the menstrual cycle or the pattern in a female, and then we select those days where ovulation happens. In those days, we prevent or limit the sexual intercourse so that the fertilization process is prevented. But this is not a very reliable process since there is variation in the length of the menstrual cycle, and it is only for those people who do not want to opt for any other method. Then we have chemical method where certain chemicals are used which are called spermicides, which are placed into the vagina to kill these sperms. This method is easy to use but not very effective again. It needs to be used in combination with other methods which are mechanical methods. Here in this slide, I have shown you the pattern of the body temperature changes in the female in a month. The body temperature slightly rises at the time of ovulation. So this period is marked where ovulation is most probable, and in that period of time, the sexual intercourse is prevented. In this diagram, there is a demonstration of application of spermicides into the vagina of a female so that the sperms are killed. The next method is mechanical method or barrier method. So by the name as it is being indicated that it's a barrier method where we put a barrier between the sperm and the ovum so that both of them do not fuse. It includes the use of a sheath, which is a rubber tube which is placed on the penis so that the semen is trapped there and it prevents it from entering the vagina. It is effective and it prevents the transfer of disease-causing bacteria or viruses too. Use of the diaphragm happens in the female where a rubber cap is inserted into the top of the vagina. It is an effective process and needs to be fitted properly in order to be effective. Then we have intrauterine device, which is also sometimes written as IUD. It's a plastic coil which is inserted into the uterus and prevents implantation of the blastocyst, which is the ball of the cell which is formed after the formation of the zygote. This device is quite effective but should be fitted by a qualified person. So this is the method where a IUD is being placed into the uterus of a female. A mechanical device is placed there so that there is no attachment of the blastocyst into the uterine wall, or you can say that this is a method where we prevent the attachment or implantation of the uterus of the embryo to the uterine lining. So this is the insertion from the vagina into the uterus so that there is no risk of attachment of the growing embryo onto the wall of the uterus. So this is the sheath method, which is called as mechanical or barrier method, both in male and female. The diagrams are showing you that, but the process is quite not reliable because of the fact that these rubber sheets can tear and can be slipped off. Next method is hormonal method, where the female uses the pills. These pills contain progesterone and estrogen-like chemicals. Keep in mind that the chemicals' nature is quite similar to that of progesterone and estrogen. If you remember the function of progesterone and estrogen, you would be quite familiar with that both of these hormones prevent ovulation and also prevent the follicle development. Both of these hormones kind of tells the body that no ovulation must take place, nor any follicle must develop. So it actually prevents ovulation. Taking the pills that contain progesterone and estrogen-like chemicals prevents the ovulation. This method is quite effective, but it has some side effects which will be discussed in later slides. Then we have surgical method, which includes the cutting or tying of the sperm ducts in males and oviducts in females. Now again, if you remember the structure of the female and male reproductive organs, we know that the egg travels from the ovary towards the oviduct. Similarly, sperm once produced travel towards the next place through sperm duct. So what we do in surgical method is that we cut or we tie up these ducts. In males, we do that with the sperm duct, while in females, it is done with the oviduct. Both of these methods are quite effective and are difficult somehow and expensive to reverse, and it's not a method to be recommended to the young people. So this is the oral contraceptive pill, which is taken by the female to prevent any eggs being produced in the ovary. It stops the ovulation. One tablet is taken daily throughout the menstrual cycle, except for about a week during menstruation. These contain chemical substances which are quite identical to estrogen and progesterone. Very effective method, but it has some disadvantages. We see raised blood pressure and increase in weight in females that are on these contraceptive pills. This is the process of surgical method, which also is termed as sterilization, where the person has to go under a surgery, an operation which prevents the conception permanently. In male, we say it vasectomy, which is sterilization of a man, where the sperm duct, as you can see in the diagram, is cut or tied so that no sperm could go from the testes to anywhere. So this is the process which is happening before vasectomy in a normal process. You can see the arrows showing you the direction or pathway of the sperms which are being produced in the testes, then in the epididymis, and then in the sperm duct. So what happens after the surgery is that these sperm ducts are cut so that there is no way of the sperm from going anywhere from this area to any other area. So the upper ends of both the tubes are blocked and sperm are prevented from reaching and joining the female egg cells. Hence, there are no chances at all of fertilization. Similarly, in females, this is called tubal ligation, where sterilized women undergo, the female who wants to get sterilized undergo a minor surgery, which is quite effective. About 99% of this method show positive results, where the fallopian tube or the oviduct is ligated, tied or cut. The final result ensures that the egg never reaches into the uterus or even in the oviduct. This is the method which is showing you how it is tied off. The tube is tied off and cut. So eventually there is no traveling of the egg from the ovary into the oviduct.